Welcome to my YouTube channel, David and Goliath. The cell. In the quiet hills of Bethlehem lived a young shepherd boy named David. Every morning he cared for his sheep with love. He guided them through green fields and beside fresh water. David trusted God with his whole heart. He sang songs while playing his harp, and the sheep gathered peacefully around him. Even though David was young, God saw something special inside him. David didn't know it yet, but soon his courage and faith would be tested in a way no one could ever imagine. David in the king's court. One day, David was brought before King Saul. The king had heard about this king shepherd boy. David stood calmly before him. He wasn't afraid. David spoke with respect and confidence because he knew God was with him. Saul looked carefully at David. He was young and simple, but there was peace and strength in his eyes. David listened closely as the king spoke. Soon, something important would happen that would change David's life forever. The gathering storm. Far away, two armies stood facing each other across a valley. The Israelites stood on one side, the Philistines stood on the other. Soldiers held shields and spears as the wind moved across the hills. Everyone waited nervously. The sky looked heavier over the battlefield. A great challenge was coming. The Israelites felt worried and weak. No one knew what would happen next. The giant's challenge. Then out stepped Goliath. He was huge and terrifying. His armor gleamed in the sunlight. His spear looked as tall as a tree. His voice thundered through the valley. Send someone to fight me, he shouted. The ground seemed to shake. The soldiers stepped backward in fear. No one dared answer him. Day after day, Goliath returned, laughing loudly and challenging Israel again. News to the front. David's father sent him to deliver food to his brothers on the battlefield. David hurried through the hills with bread and supplies. As he arrived, he heard Goliath shouting. Soldiers looked frightened. David was surprised. Why is everyone afraid? He wondered. He listened carefully and saw the giant with his own eyes. David's heart burned with courage. A humble heart. David spoke boldly. I will fight him. People stared in shock. They saw only a shepherd boy. But David remembered how God had protected him before. When wild animals attacked his sheep, God helped him. David trusted that God would help him again. His heart stayed calm and humble. He wasn't trusting his own strength, he trusted the Lord. David walked to the nearby stream. Water sparkled under the sun. He knelt down and carefully chose 5 smooth stones. Small stones, simple stones. They didn't look powerful, but David believed God could use even small things. He placed them in his pouch, then he stood up with his sling ready. King Saul offered David heavy armor and a sword. David tried wearing them, but they felt too big. He could barely move, so David gently removed the armor. He didn't need what everyone else trusted in. He trusted God. With only his sling and stones, David stepped forward. David walked alone into the valley. Soldiers watched in silence. His brothers stared nervously. Goliath towered ahead, but David kept walking, step by step, brave and steady. The wind moved through the valley. David's hands were ready. His eyes stayed focused. Confronting Goliath. Goliath laughed when he saw David. Am I a dog that you come with sticks? He shouted. But David answered with courage. You come with sword and spear, but I come in the name of the Lord. Everyone heard his words. The giant laughed again. but David did not move. The moment of calm. For one quiet second, everything became still. The shouting stopped. The wind softened. David reached into his pouch and held one smooth stone. He breathed deeply. He trusted God completely. Then he placed the stone into his sling. David swung the sling fast, round and round. Then he realized it. The stone flew through the air, straight toward the giant. Everyone watched. The stone struck Goliath on the forehead. The mighty giant stumbled. Then he crashed to the ground. The valley echoed with the sound. Silence filled the battlefield. Then cheers exploded from the Israelites. David lifted his hands and praised God. Everyone knew this victory came from the Lord. Fear turned into joy. David reaches down, grabs Goliath's massive sword, and pulls it from its sheath. He uses the giant's own heavy weapon to cut off his head, sealing the final, definitive death blow. David then lifts the head and the sword as public proof of victory to both armies watching from the surrounding hills. When the giant Goliath died, his army panicked and ran away in total fear. The Israelites shouted a big battle cry and chased them down the valley, winning the war completely. Afterward, the Israelite soldiers went back to the empty enemy camp and took all the treasures left behind. David returned with great celebration. People rejoiced everywhere, but David stayed humble. He remembered God had been with him the whole time, and everyone learned something powerful. Even the smallest person can do great things with God. So, dear friends, the story of David and Goliath is much more than just a battle between a boy and a giant. It shows us how a humble shepherd, armed only with faith, courage, and a simple sling, completely changed the course of history for his nation. While his triumph brought immense joy and praise from the people, it also opened a new chapter of trials and jealousy that would ultimately shape him into Israel's greatest king of all the time. Thank you.